Well, good morning, my friend. Welcome to the Pastor's Podcast. Good to have you with me on this Thursday morning. And certainly looking forward to today. Of course, today is going to be a really long, busy day and in my schedule, but I'm looking forward to being able to get a lot done for the Lord, seeing what he can do, soul winning, following up at Sunday school, teaching in the college, getting ready for the cantata on Sunday night with all the music department this evening. And just looking forward to staff meetings today. Just a lot going on, and but I always enjoy getting to serve the Lord. It was good last night to have one of my good friends, Brother Tim Erling, in our services last night. He's a pastor out of our church. Pastor's over in El Paso, and he was just in town visiting his father-in-law, and didn't know he was going to be in town. But it was good to see him and his wife, and be able to spend a little bit of time with him last night, and hoping that the Lord blesses his ministry. I hope wherever you are, you're working hard. We're not that far away from the Christmas time, just about 14 days away. And hope that you're getting your Christmas shopping done and that you're getting ready. But let's stay faithful to the Lord in these days. How about that? Let's make sure in these days that we're not, that we're absentee from God. Christmas season is about Christ. Let's keep him that priority, and God will certainly bless us if we do that. Today, I want to talk to you about what will you do with the mantle. In 2 Kings chapter 2 and verse 14, it says, "And he took the mantle of Elijah that fell from him and smote the waters and said, 'Where is the Lord God of Elijah?' And when he had smitten the waters, they parted hither and thither, and Elisha went over." Elijah was about to be taken to heaven, and the young preacher Elisha would not leave Elijah's side. That was his preacher. And when the moment came that God took Elijah up to heaven, God left the mantle. Now, the mantle represented the methods and God's power on Elijah's life. Elijah, seeing the mantle left on the ground, took off his mantle. He rented it, tore it in half, but took up the mantle of Elijah to use. Now, Elisha immediately used that mantle to cross back over the Jordan River. And it proved true that the God of Elijah rested on Elisha. Now, why? Because he chose to take the same mantle and do the same works that he had learned from his preacher. Now, there are three groups that are represented in this story. The first group are the critics. As Elisha journeyed from the Jordan River to Bethel, you'll recall a crowd of young critics mocking him. This young crowd of critics mocked the mantle and Elisha, but God defended his man and killed this young group of critics. The second group of people were the young prophets who worked under Elijah's ministry, but they only followed afar off. Now, this group knew about the works of Elijah, but get this now, but they just didn't want to get involved. They were comfortable with their mediocre works. They were okay with their mantle. They were okay with the size of their ministries and just saying, well, we're good enough. Oh, this young crowd could have had the same God work through their lives, just like Elisha did, but they just did not want to put the effort it took and be criticized by the critics to have these works done in their own ministry. Now, the third group, it was not a group. It was one person. And Elisha took up the mantle of Elijah, and instead of criticizing it, he tore his mantle apart, and he used Elijah's mantle and worked the same work that Elijah did, and he saw God work through his life and ministry just like Elijah had seen. Now, Elisha was determined not to let the mantle rot on the ground, but use it so that God could be real to another generation. He realized that having the mantle was not only a privilege, but a responsibility to use so the next generation could see that God is real. My friend, the mantle of the past generations is still available today. And we have been privileged not only to hear about the works of our Elijah, but also to see them firsthand. Now, what you do with that mantle will determine what God does with you and through your ministry. You can join the critics and start your podcast and criticize the mantle. You can talk about the mantle and what you saw, or you can take it up and work the works that Elijah worked and see God work through you as he did in the days of old. Now, it's all up to you. This nation is dying for someone to take up the mantle of soul winning, bus routes, old-fashioned preaching, Sunday school classes, big days. And I'm here to testify that God has enough mantles for every person to pick up if we'll just choose to pick up those mantles. It's not that God's hand is shortened, that it cannot save in our day. It is that too many people have left the mantle of God's man lie on the ground to rot because they'd rather wear their mantle and try some new way instead of picking up the mantle of the man of God. Now, I challenge you, my friend, pick up the mantle and attempt something great for God. Listen to me. What you do with the mantle that God's men from the past have left for you to use will determine what God can and will do through you. Too many people are saying, well, it just doesn't work the way it did in the past. Well, no, not when you're sitting and not working like the way they did in the past. You see, the difference is back then they weren't afraid to work. Back then, they worked hard. They worked tirelessly. They worked hours. They didn't throw these little cliches around. Well, I don't want to lose my family for the ministry, which is a bunch of hogwash by a bunch of lazy preachers who want to sit at home and play instead of getting out and working with their families. Good night. There's a hell, and people are dying and going to hell. These little preachers out there, I'm not going to lose my family for the ministry. You're an idiot. The truth is there are people dying and going to hell. We don't lose our family because of the ministry. People choose to rebel against God. Don't tell me this. I was an evangelist for 28 years. My daughter grew up under my ministry as an evangelist. I was in her life for 2/3 of her life. I was home 1/3 of the week. Yet she's serving God up to this point, to this day. She's serving God. She loves God. She married a fine young man, and they both together are serving God in our ministry here. And can I tell you, she doesn't have any, she doesn't say, well, my daddy was never home. You know why? It's a heart issue. It's a heart issue. You listen to me. We've let the mantle lie. Our churches are dying. America is going to hell. And we gripe, complain, well, you know, the government and the Muslims are taking over, and it's so hard in our day. Yeah, because you're sitting at home doing nothing. Why don't you get out and do some old-fashioned hard work? Listen to me. If a preacher's not going, especially a full-time preacher, if a full-time preacher's not going soul winning at least 10 hours a day, he's a lazy bum. You say, I don't think you ought to say that. I think I ought to. Your job's not to sit in an office and get fat. Your job is to get out and reach people for Jesus Christ. Lead your church. My friend, we are not going to do something in this generation by sitting in our offices. Listen, now, as an evangelist, it'd be easy for me to say this, but I'm a pastor now. So don't tell me this busyness of the ministry. I pastor a church, and in today's world, it's considered a larger church. So I pastor a larger church. I have a Christian school. We have a Bible college. I write devotionals every day. I run this podcast. I do everything that everybody else does. Now, how is it that I have time? To tell you, one, I work hard. Second, I don't sleep in until I wait until the sun to rise up to get out of bed. I'm up before the sun gets up. And I go to bed after the moon has risen. I'm not, listen to me, I work hard. I'm not trying to brag about myself. I'm just saying somewhere we've got to understand that mantle is lying. The mantle of Elijah is lying. And somewhere there's got to be some men of God that say, you know what, I can care less about the critics. Let the podcasters, let the critics criticize Brother Hiles and Lee Robertson and J. Frank Norris and Dallas Billington and men like this. Let them criticize. My friend, if we'd follow the methods that they taught us, I think what we would all find, we could all build a great work for God. Our problem is this: we're too lazy. We're too lazy. We want to be the preachers on the other side of the door. Well, let me try my mantle. My friend, we're not going to save this old nation by going down this path that many have chosen in today's world. Okay. So I know this is going to curl some hairs, but that's okay. We're sending our kids to Bible colleges to be trained under men that have shrunk the church and not grown the church. We're going to our best Bible conference speakers. Most of them aren't soul winning anymore. They're church shrinkers, not church builders. And then we wonder why our churches are dying. Because you know why? Because they make us feel good. They don't put pressure on us. Somewhere there ought to be the men of God that come in. When I was a young man, the men of God that came in put pressure on us to build something for God. I'd go hear Dr. Robertson, and he put pressure on you, do something. Brother House, he put pressure on you. Tom Malone put pressure on you. Oh, my friend, I'd hear these men of God, and they put the pressure on you to do something big for God. Let's get back to that day. Let's get some men of God that are doing. Just because they have a great message doesn't mean they ought to come to our church. I want someone to come to my church, challenge my church. Let's build something big for God. My friend, I'm telling you this: if we could get back to that day where the best preachers that we use are the church builders, I bet many of our churches would begin to grow again. But as long as we have the church shrinkers traveling our country and doing the circuit, and you church shrinkers that don't like this, then do something about it. Listen to me. Somewhere we got to get people that say, let's build a church. Let's build a church. And by the way, not through transfers. I'm not here for transfers. I'm here to build a church. There's 1.5 million people in my area, and we're too busy. Too many guys are trying to transfer people in. Let's go soul winning. Let's bring them in. That's the way you build a church. I'm not saying transfers won't come. They will come. But let's build our church through old-fashioned soul winning. How did Jesus do it? Jesus had no transfers. He started from nothing and built a great church through soul winning. And that is the answer. That is the key. Let's stop trying to get the transfers in to build our church. And let's stop trying to champion the church shrinkers. And let's get the church builders. And let's pick up the mantle and just repeat what the old timers taught us to do. And it can work today like it did back then. Oh, my friend, I challenge you today. Let's pick up the mantle. What are you going to do with the mantle? Let's pick it up. Let's do something big in our city for Jesus Christ. Your city needs a church. Let's make your church and my church in our cities. Let's make them the greatest churches in all the world. Well, my friend, I hope this is a challenge to you today. Now, let's remember, be good to everyone.